I'm John Luck with this BTV Right Now update. At their August meeting, the town council heard from residents looking for a permanent ban on recreational marijuana shops here in town, and now they may be one step closer. The Marijuana Ad Hoc Committee will recommend at the next town council meeting for a 16-month ban on recreational marijuana. The ban, which would run through the end of 2019, would ban retailers, cultivators, product manufacturers, and testing facilities.
By allowing a recreational marijuana store to be built in our town, it will be as if we welcome and add to the already existing drug problems. We're also a university town. If my children were to come to view the college knowing there was a recreational marijuana store, it would dissuade me from Bridgewater for my children's college education. There are many other ways to bring revenue to this town that I agree is greatly needed. Allowing the opportunity for the store would harm all of us, adults and children of today and tomorrow.
What kind of message are you sending? You want to educate the youth not to use marijuana, but you want to sell it in your town. No amount of education is going to undo the effects of selling it in your town, and that's the message that you're sending, that it's a normal drug. It's not. It's a mind-altering drug. And the economic benefit, which is why the town is considering it, study Colorado, the revenue that you would get will be mitigated by the cost of law enforcement and the character of your town. You're going to spend more money on drug-related accidents. You're going to have more disputes that you can't even correlate to the effects of drugs.
The state passed the use of recreational marijuana back in November. However, the town of Bridgewater voted no by 158 votes. Again, this will be brought up at the council's next meeting coming up on September 5th. West Bridgewater police are investigating an overnight homicide. Police responded to the house at 93 Columbus Ave, which is located just over the Bridgewater-West Bridgewater town line. 34-year-old Danny Lopes was arrested in North Providence this morning. Lopes, according to Wicked Local, hit a 72-year-old woman with a fireplace log in her home. The state police and district attorney's office have released few details regarding this investigation. However, Plymouth County District Attorney Tim Cruz met with the media earlier today and said they are unsure of a motive at the time. Lopes is being held in Rhode Island, however, will face charges back in Massachusetts.
We want to put all the focus on the individual that's struggling, and I just think sometimes we also need to think a little bit more about their families and loved ones who are also suffering.
Massasoit College held a candlelight vigil on Thursday night to remember those who passed due to addiction overdoses. This was a night of remembrance while letting those that are closest to the epidemic know that it's all right to talk about it.
And here is a safe place for you to just feel how you need to feel. Tonight's speakers will speak of love and of loss and of hope. They will speak of what can be done to celebrate the lives of those that we have lost.
It was hard, brutal to feel like you constantly have to defend the man you love, to constantly make excuses for him on where he is or why he's running late, why he's so pale and thin, to be a good mother and keep some form of normalcy for our son and to protect him, to be a career woman and show up to work and manage a business and 20 employees and smile and not let the world know that my world was falling apart.
We'll have more from the vigil coming up on our next edition of Bridgewater This Week, coming up on September 8th. Entering the weather now, the devastating flooding in Houston does continue as the city has received over 2 feet of rain over the weekend and will potentially see another foot to 18 inches of rain, causing life-threatening situations across one of the biggest cities in the United States. Turning things over to Jeff Fowler now. Jeff, this is a unique storm because it's in the Gulf of Mexico, so there's a lot of fuel for the storm to really continue on here.
Well, John, it was a very busy weather weekend, one of epic proportions. We don't use that term very often, but down in Texas, certainly quite a few headlines. You know, while that's been going on, there's been a touch of early fall here for us in New England. It doesn't feel exactly like late August, feels more like late September around here. And that pattern is going to continue off and on over the next week or so. All the while, we'll be keeping an eye on a new tropical system that's now forming off of the coast of Georgia, and that could eventually become Irma. And that will be approaching our area. It should be gone by the weekend, but we could actually feel some of the effects of Harvey and what's going to be a mixed bag here for your Labor Day. You know, to put what's happened this past weekend into perspective, the projected rainfall for the city of Houston, this goes through August 31st, up to 45 inches of rain is what they're expecting before all is said and done. And to give you a little idea of what that means, look at what Bridgewater averages over the course of a year, about 50 inches. So Houston's getting what we get over a course of a year in a matter of 7 days. It's actually even a little less than that, probably between say, last Friday and maybe Wednesday. So that's just incredible amounts. If you look at the rain to snowfall ratio, if you want to look at that, if that were snow in New England, yeah, between 350 and 450 inches of snowfall. Just incredible stuff from Harvey. It's a storm that will go down certainly in history. Look at that blue line. That's actually the track of Harvey. So this is where it started, moved across the islands. Remember, we talked about this system last week, and then it kind of fell off the map a little bit here and got itself going again right when it hit the Gulf. So there wasn't a ton of time to prepare for the storm, but again, this is just a sign that when the Weather Service starts to mention these things can happen, you really do have to pay attention, because there always is that one time where a storm could be of epic magnitude, and certainly Harvey was the one. You can see it on the map here. The forecast map keeps this storm as a named storm all the way through the entire week, eventually by Saturday morning approaching the state of Tennessee. So just a tremendous history with the storm's going to continue as we go throughout the week. All in a while, we have again what is expected to become Irma, which will move its way up the Carolina coast. But what's happening is we have some cold air deepening off to our north and west, which we just talked about a few moments ago. That's going to bring us more of those fall-like temperatures. It's also going to try to push Irma out to sea. However, as the front comes closer, we've actually got strong high pressure off to our north, a building storm here with Irma, and I think that's going to create a little bit of a pressure gradient that's going to keep some strong east to northeast breezes here with us. Really will begin probably Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. Here's the American model kind of showing where Irma is expected to go, and you can see it begins here in the Carolinas and starts to move up towards off the New Jersey coast, and then starts to take that bend out to sea. So I think really the strong effects from the storm will miss us, but it's close enough so we could get a few showers or even a few breezes here, gusts of wind by Wednesday morning. Been choked up over here. Here's what the European model says. Again, same idea, kind of brings Irma off the coastline. It's really going to blow up once it gets north of our latitude. Probably a little too late to give us a major storm. However, it is going to back the pattern up a bit. So as that cold air moves in, it's going to last here for a few days as we get into the weekend. Let's look at the map now for Thursday. That's when things are going to start to develop. So by Thursday, Irma will have moved past our latitude, but this cold front is going to start to move through. And again, the two will be interacting, a little bit of energy there, so we'll have some showers and thunderstorms possible by Thursday night. All in a while, check this out, Harvey's still with us and still bringing heavy rain to the state of Louisiana, and probably, I would say, approaching Alabama by that point. Now, as we get to Friday, you can see the fronts move through our area, so it's all cold and dry, but a warm front starting to move up the Tennessee River Valley, and that may actually approach New England by the time we get to the end of the weekend. And yes, believe it or not, some of the moisture from Harvey. So as we wrap this up now, look at the next 5 days. Again, tomorrow probably starts out sunny, but I think some of those high, thin clouds will start to approach from the south. And again, as Irma makes its closest pass to us tomorrow night or very early Wednesday morning, we could see some passing showers. Best chance for the steadiest rain, probably once you get, I'd say south and east of the canal. But, you know, here in the Bridgewater area, could see a tenth to a few tenths of an inch of rainfall here. And again, we'll keep an eye on this. It could get a little closer. We'll have to monitor this over the next 24 hours. Either way, it's a few showers, breezy conditions Tuesday night into Wednesday. Then that clears out. And then again, as we mentioned, that front approaches here on Thursday as we get a chance for some showers and perhaps some heavy storms here Thursday night into Friday morning. And then we clear out and cool off for the start of the weekend.
Thanks, Jeff. We are bringing back out of bounds here on the BTV Right Now update. And this week, myself and Brian Barra talked about the Kyrie Irving situation, as this has really spiraled into a disaster almost for the Boston Celtics. So all the Green Teamers are celebrating right now the fact that we have Kyrie Irving coming to Boston, except for the fact that Isaiah Thomas's hip is basically throwing a wrench in the plans here.
Asterisk.
Thank you very much. So for those not familiar with the trade, you might be sleeping under a rock or something, the Celtics gave up Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, and the Brooklyn Nets first-round pick, which realistically is going to be a top 7, top 8 pick, and Ante Zizic, a potential big man, but nevertheless, that's probably about 3 or 4 years down the road here. But the Celtics will get Kyrie Irving, the all-star point guard. Now, the one issue in this is the fact that Cleveland has been talking about maybe taking back this trade because of Isaiah Thomas's hip. And so I mean, this has turned into a big mess as far as the Celtics and Cavs go.
Yeah, absolutely. You trade an injured player. I feel like the Cavs knew about this because at the end of last season, or even actually in the middle of that Eastern Conference Finals, when they came out with Isaiah Thomas saying that he did have that hip injury, and one of the first words thrown around was surgery. And they got the second opinion. They said that he doesn't need the hip surgery, and now all of a sudden he has, a third or a fourth opinion, and they say, oh, he might need that that hip surgery. So it's kind of a messy situation because you're kind of trading damaged goods, and the Cavs want another piece in the deal, whether it's going to be a Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown type of deal. And I mean, when I first heard about this trade and we got Kyrie Irving without having to give up those two players, it was amazing. I mean, of course, every Green teamer, I'm sure you were too, jumping up and down for joy that you didn't have to get rid of those players.
I was doing the news in that seat, and right as we ended the news, I saw the update, and I just started spinning around in my chair. If we had footage, that would probably be entertaining to watch. But
yeah, exactly. But I think, unfortunately, there's only two things that are going to happen. The deal's going to be waived off, or you're going to have to give up one of those two players to actually finalize the deal. And that's unfortunate because I would have loved to have seen those two players play. But if I had the choice of getting rid of one of them, I would get rid of Tatum because I really haven't seen him play much. I know in the summer league there really wasn't much to see, and Jaylen Brown actually just lit it up in summer league. Now I know you're going against some people that also some unknowns, but he played pretty well last year in the NBA, so it's going to be interesting to see what the Celtics do to finalize this deal.
But I think that this is a big moment here for the new Cavaliers general manager, Kobe Altman, who got hired, I think it was in mid-July, because this is a huge deal. I mean, Kyrie doesn't want to be there. He'd rather ship LeBron to Los Angeles personally, but Kyrie doesn't want to be there. LeBron doesn't want Kyrie there. But now you have to think about what's going to happen next offseason, because you know LeBron James is going to Los Angeles, or he's going to go somewhere else, potentially in the Western Conference. So you want to make sure that you get a good return. Altman doesn't care about Crowder. He doesn't care about Zizic. He doesn't care about Thomas. He cares about that potential top 10 pick, and if he can maybe swindle another pick at Danny Ainge, another pick. But you're dealing with two big heads here because Danny Ainge doesn't want to strike out on a deal, and Altman is trying to take after Danny Ainge, I think. But
it's like I said, it's going to be very interesting to see if he's going to give up the young player or the draft pick.
All right, yes or no within the next week. Is Kyrie Irving going to be a Celtic?
I think he is. I think they're eventually going to work out a deal because if this trade does get waived, that's going to be a pretty awkward situation if they come back to Boston.
Crowder, Hayward, Thomas, that could be awesome to watch. But I think he's going to be a Celtic. I think Kyrie Irving will be a Celtic. And I think October 17th is going to be a very fun night to watch as the NBA opens up its slate. Coming up on the next BTV Right Now update later on in the week, we'll talk about Julian Edelman's loss for the Patriots and what this could potentially mean for the Pats offense, already one of the highest powered offenses in the NFL. Thank you for watching this BTV Right Now update. I'm John Luck.